1 of the 2012 World Series. Tonight, Pablo Sandoval hit 2 homers off Verlander and 3 for the game, setting the tone for a Giants sweep of the Tigers in the World Series. Now, Verlander and the Giants next. Welcome to NBC Sports Bay Area, powered by Xfinity, as we come to you from Minute Maid Park in Houston, the finale of this abbreviated 2-game series, the Giants and the Astros. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Jeremy Affelt. Welcome to Giants baseball. And they got clobbered last night. Now they need a win to get a split in the series, and everything will look pretty good. However, they are facing the guy who's got the best earned run average in baseball, 1.05. We're talking about Justin Verlander, whom the Giants faced in the 2012 World Series. But he seems to be better now than he's ever been. How can that be?
I mean, he's the same guy. I think his stuff is, he's always been a hard thrower. I think he's just got 5 years more of experience. And I think the way he's come out in this year especially and utilize his off-speed pitches. He was kind of a power guy before. He'd power it by you, he'd throw some off-speed in there, but he was going to try to go high velocity in all 6 quadrants of the zone. Now you're seeing him using high velocity, but you're also seeing him utilize a breaking ball. His curveball slows everybody down. He's starting to change up speeds. He's pitching really, really smart. So I think 2012 he was a super talent. 2018 he's a super talent with 14 years under his belt, and he seems like he's getting better. And that's a scary thing for other teams, but it's a positive thing for the Houston Astros.
A lot of scary things about this Astros team in general. They are very, very good. And why not? They're the World Series champion. We're going to come back with the lineups in the first pitch. Also, we invite you to stay tuned as we'll take you to the NBC Sports Bay Area studios for an update right after this.
West Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new Cholula Buttery Jack, part of the Buttery Jack family. Only at Jack in the Box.
In downtown Houston, and it is partly cloudy and humid outside, and we are indoors here at the Minute Maid Ballpark. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is open daily starting Friday, May 25th. That's this Friday. 75 degrees outside, winds at 7 miles an hour, 76% humidity, mostly cloudy with spotty showers and very, very sticky. The Astros are on the field. Let's take a look at the Giants batting order now, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Gorkis Hernandez, center field. Andrew McCutchen in right. Buster Posey, the DH in the American League Ballpark. Brandon Belt, left field. Evan Longoria at third base. Brandon Crawford at shortstop. He continues to be so hot, hitting .453 in the month of May. 2 more hits last night, including a home run. Sandoval at first. And last time we saw Sandoval in a Giants uniform facing Verlander, he hit 2 home runs against him in Game 1 of the World Series in 2012. Nick Huntley, the catcher. Kelby Tomlinson at second.
Justin Verlander on the mound this afternoon, leading ERA leader, and you'll see why right there. 68 inning pitch, just 35 hits, 14 walks, and 84 Ks. And that's how he does it. Fastball, high velocity, similar to what you saw yesterday from Cole. High velocity with a slider, curveball, change, cutter. Rarely throws those. I do think you'll see him throw curveballs more often, but we'll see as the game goes on.
And I noticed those batting averages against those various pitches. No matter what he throws, nobody hits it.
Yeah, his command is pretty good. He's not just a high velocity pitcher. He hits quadrants pretty good. He can locate. And he can throw strikes with all his pitches. His secondary and third pitches he can throw strikes with. So he mixes it up pretty good.
He seems to be getting better with age, which is rather phenomenal. Fastball down and away. So the count is a ball and a strike to Gorkis, who is hitting .278 with 4 home runs. And that fastball is fouled away. Verlander broke into the big leagues all the way back in 2005 with the Tigers. He helped get them to the World Series his first full year in the big leagues, 2006. And then last year, he was traded. He was a stretch run acquisition by the Astros and helped them. I don't think they could have won the World Series without him, or maybe even gotten to the World Series without him. That's how good he was as an Astro. And that is too high, 2-2. He went 5-0 with a 1.06 earned run average for the Astros. And then in the postseason, in the American League Championship Series, he was the MVP in the ALCS against the Yankees. 2-0 with a .56 ERA. And that's high and tight, 3-2. And then in the World Series, he pitched 12 innings against the Dodgers, gave up 5 hits, and did not get a win. That, of course, was a wild World Series. There were more home runs hit in that World Series than in any other World Series in history. And the bullpen did not hold wins for him. There's a foul out of play. 3-2.
Defense behind Verlander this afternoon from left to right. Gonzalez, Kemp, Springer. Third to first, Bregman, Correa, Altuve, Gurriel catching. New catcher tonight, Brian McCann. Saw him a lot with the Braves. Giants have history with him.
McCann's been around almost as long as Verlander. And Gorky's hanging tough here against the veteran right-hander. 3-2 the count. Verlander 6 feet 5 inches tall. He was a #1 draft choice, the 2nd overall pick in the draft way back when by the Tigers out of Old Dominion University. Got to be one of the greatest major league players ever to come out of Old Dominion. 3-2 the count. Andrew McCutchen is on deck. And a fastball back to the screen. And Gorkis is hanging in there tough. He's made him throw 8 pitches already. And that was the 5th foul ball that he's hit here against Verlander. Buster Posey in the hole, due up third in the inning. Verlander started and then stopped, and now Gorky's asked for time. Outfield pushed way over toward the right field line. And there's a high fly ball in the foul ground. Springer, and he has room. Another foul ball, but this one is caught, and he is gone.
Our Nissan keys to the game today. Samardzija is getting into the 6th or 7th. It's very, very important to start a road trip. You know, yesterday we didn't get into the 5th or 6th from the starter, but they need to see their starters go deeper into the game to save their bullpen throughout the year. This is an important start, I think, for Samardzija to do that. And then the offense needs to score early on Verlander. He does smell blood in the water, and you give him some breathing room, it's very tough to beat him. So we need to score early.
And the curveball in there for a called strike to Andrew McCutchen. 243 average, 3 home runs, 348 on base average. He's seen Verlander over the years.
Yeah, he trusts his fastball. You saw right there in the first at bat, he kept coming at Gorky's with fastballs. He's going to come after you. He has his ball jumps on you. It kind of almost rises in your eyes a little bit, but he's always been that guy that wants to speed your bat up. He's going to come after you early. He's gonna challenge you with fastballs, and he's gonna start mixing up the breaking balls a lot of times later in the game. But he's one of those kind of guys that almost thinks about how many fastballs can I throw first time through the lineup before I go to a breaking ball. And he has the ability to mix and match, go up and down, in and out with his fastball, so he can do that.
1-2 the count. On the outside corner. Perfect pitch if you're Verlander. 2 down.
Pitchcast is brought to you by SoFi, a modern finance company. And there's the pitch right there. 95 on the outside corner. That's a tough pitch. Down the way is tough to hit anyway, and you have 95 coming at you.
So here's Buster Posey. Buster has only faced Verlander in that World Series 2012. And it's ball 1 down and away. The umpiring alignment, we got Rob Drake calling the balls and strikes, with the crew chief Mike Winters at first, Mike Malinsky second, and Ramon De Jesus at third. Joining the crew today, Tim Timmons. I guess Tim Timmons went out on vacation. He was the plate umpire last night.
I think he needed one. You know, I think he just
Bregman
needed a break.
throws out Buster. That is the inning. Strong first inning for Verlander. Now Samardzija will head to the mound. George Springer in right field. He's had 9 leadoff homers, or did last season, and 3 this year. He's had 21 in his career, so you got to watch out for him from the first pitch onward. Bregman at third, Altuve at second. Correa hitting cleanup at short. Gonzalez in the lineup in left field. Gurriel at first, McCann the catcher hitting 7th, Gattis the DH, Tony Kemp in center field batting 9th.
Jeff Samardzija pitching. 1 and 2 of the 6-3. You see his numbers there. Left-handers tend to give him some problems. Nothing really gets me as much as the walks. He usually isn't a guy that walks a lot of guys. He's walked too many this year. I'm sure he's looking to kind of fine-tune that, but that's how he's getting it done with his fastball and slider and occasional curveball. Hopefully he'll throw his curveball a little bit more. He has a good one, and I think he should use it more often.
George Springer had 1 hit and knocked in a run last night. But he knocked in the 2nd run of the game. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him. Springer's hit 9 home runs so far this year. Hit 34 last year. It's hit well. McCutchen all the way back at the wall. 1 away.
Defense behind Samardzija this afternoon. Brandon Belt left field. Hernandez and McCutchen center and right from 3rd to 1st is Longoria, Crawford, Tomlinson, and hopefully the Verlander kryptonite Pablo Sandoval playing 1st. Nick Hundley is catching.
So here is Bregman. Bregman had 2 doubles and a walk last night with 2 RBIs. Shows bunt, takes high and tight. 1 ball, no strikes. Two-0. Samardzija, we've seen him hit 96 miles an hour with his fastball, and his last couple of starts, he was kind of steadily anywhere from 93 to 96, but he often seems to have to build up to it early in the game.
Yeah, a lot of guys like to increase velocity as they go. You'll actually see a guy like Verlander do the same thing. He'll throw harder at the end of the game than he does at the beginning of the game. But even Samardzija, like, I think we have to remember, he put up some innings last year. He was a pretty good little workhorse, and he's been a good workhorse for the Cubs and Giants his entire career, and sometimes it just takes a toll on you, and you just don't get going as easy throughout some years than others. And he's kind of had a slow start with his arm, and the body was feeling it a little bit, and he's trying to get in rhythm even now. He's still looking for it, but he's a big, strong guy. I think that he will come around and he'll find it, and when he does, it'll be a big bump for the Giants. Hopefully he finds it today.
And he misses way off the outside to come up that control. That was something that almost never happened last year, especially right away in the game. A walk. He had many games where he didn't walk anybody.
Yeah, that was almost a thing for him last year. A lot of times he would throw so many strikes. It seemed like the hitters they knew there was a strike coming, so he would almost give up hits when he needed to expand the zone a little bit more.
He pitched 208 innings last year and issued 32 walks. Now he has walked 19 in 30 1/3 innings this year. He's averaging 6 walks per 9 innings, just about. A little bit above that, actually. Sandoval at first. Bregman, the runner over there, as Altuve comes up. Bregman with 4 steals. The Astros just don't do a whole lot of running, but he got one last night. Samardzija's 6-3 lifetime against the Astros. And the changeup is low. Maybe that was the splitter. 1 ball, no strikes. Samardzija had the pectoral strain on the right side, which kind of attaches up to the shoulder. Put him on the disabled list when the season began. (2-0), and this strike zone has just not been there for him. Not right now, and for a very large part of this season.
Yeah, and it's that pec is all part of the shoulder and the throwing motion and the arm speed. And when you don't have that, when your body isn't firing in all cylinders, especially up near the shoulder area, it can cause problems with your command.
There goes Bregman. Hundley's throw on a bounce. A steal for Bregman. Pitch was called a strike. 2-1.
There's that throw down. Hundley never really had a chance. I think, you know, Smarja was focused on throwing strikes right now, and he kind of gathered a little bit and probably was a little bit slower to home plate. And sometimes you have to do that. They just happen to steal. That's actually a good hitter's count for hit and runs. There's a lot of things that can happen there, but he had that bag pretty easy.
3-1 to the very slighted build. Altuve listed at 5 feet 6 inches tall. Some think maybe not quite that tall, but he is one of the best players in the game. Altuve hitting .318 so far this season. American League MVP last year.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to care too much about height or what anybody thinks about if he should be tall or short in the game. Your MVP of the American League is 5'6". He's put a lot of work into it. He hits homers. He hits homers like he's 6'5".
24 homers last year and 24 the year before that. 24 homers last year and a .346 batting average and more than 30 steals. And a Gold Glover at second base. Of course, in Houston, in the very early days in the history of this franchise as an expansion team, they had a guy who was known as Little Joe, was the second baseman. Started his career here, who eventually made it to the Hall of Fame, Joe Morgan. And Joe was listed about 5'6", 5'7". And he hit for power and won Gold Gloves and MVPs. Although not until after he left the Astros. In those days, they played in the cavernous Astrodome back in the 60s. Carlos Correa, and there's a strike, and it's 1-1. A rally given to the Astros here by the generosity of Samardzija, 2 straight walks. And Correa, big and strong. He's sort of the anti-Altuve. He's 6 feet 4 inches tall. Look out. 2-1.
You can see he's already starting to aim the ball a little bit. He's not feeling that great. His velocity is 89 to 91. He's just trying to gain command of the strike zone. He's missing way up and in arm side. When that happens, that's usually a pitcher that's just trying to feel through it, and then he pulls it down in a way. He'll throw it up and in. He'll yank breaking balls until he can get that rhythm and that feel of just competing out there. That's what you're going to see from him.
Way off the outside. 3-1. He has thrown 17 pitches, 5 of them for strikes. Less than a third. Marwin Gonzalez on deck. And that is a called strike. I'm not sure what Correa was looking for there with a 3-1 count, but he got a fastball pretty much right down the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted him to throw a strike. He hadn't been throwing many.
Yeah, exactly. And he's thinking, I'll take a walk if you're not. He hadn't been close to the strike zone this whole at bat really. So I think he's not looking to do much here. He's looking to swing here.
Now the throw. Well, he was just bluffing, and then he had him picked off, and then belatedly made the throw, but it was too late by then.
See here, he inside move. 3-2. Guys are kind of trying to get a cheat, maybe trying to run a little bit because they're going to think base hit. He's going to try to score. He's trying to get a head start. It's a lot of times a good time to do an inside move, especially if you think they're going to be running.
And they are running. Strike 3 called, and that is a double play. Wow.
Pitcher's best friend. Doesn't matter how you get him, John. Double plays are good.
Brandon Belt coming up when we return.
Memorial Day sale and get up to 50% off appliances and up to 60% off mattresses.
From Minute Maid Park in Houston, indoors, Giants nothing, Astros nothing. As Justin Verlander goes back to work, Brandon Belt leads off for the Giants. They've got the overshift on for Brandon. And a fastball in there for a called strike. Belt versus Verlander, the American League earned run average leader, against Brandon Belt, who was the National League Player of the Week for last week. They're giving him third base. It's wide open. And a one-strike pitch is too high, just barely. 1 ball, 1 strike. Belt is hitting .313, 11 home runs, 29 batted in. He had a double and a walk last night. And a fastball right in there at 94, and he couldn't get it.
I'm a fan of that bunt right now. I know Belt, he's hitting very, very well. You want him to hit for power, and he can put a run on the board, but you're wanting to kind of generate something real early against a guy like Verlander. They're going to give you a knock to lead off the game. You might as well just
lead
put
off
it
the
down.
inning.
Or yeah, leading off the inning. You might as well just do it. Get on base and have Longoria go attack him. You know.
Longoria's had more experience against Verlander than any other Giant by far, being a former American leaguer. Which is not to say he's had a whole lot of success against him. Not hardly anybody has, but he's had 34 at bats, so he knows a lot about him. A homer, a double, and a triple. There you see his numbers. That's all for Brandon Belt. The off-speed pitch that got him looking.
You see this strike him out, throw him out here. Bregman didn't have that big of a lead. And I think the pickoff attempt before probably shortened his lead at second a little bit. So then when he breaks to third on a strikeout, I mean, Hundley had him out by a mile there. I mean, that was a well-placed throw, but it was a good all-around double play to get Smarsda out of a jam right there when he probably wasn't feeling his best.
And that pickoff, or inside move as you call it, spin move as Bochy calls it, likely came from Bochy. And it may have, though they didn't pick him off, it may have ultimately led to him being thrown out at third.
I think managers look at that. Bregman didn't have a very big lead even in the pickoff, and you're thinking if you're going to try to run from right there, you're going to try to go early. So maybe let's try an inside move just to see if we can get him running and see if we can pick him off, and end up working out the very next pitch.
1 strike to Longoria. 8 home runs for the year, 23 batted in. Very high with a fastball at 94. But that inning was not looking very promising for Samardzija. He had walked 2 in a row. He had gone to a 3-1 count on Correa, and then struck him out, and then out at third for the double play, just like that. In what was really just a complete struggle for Samardzija all through the inning.
Saw that pitch right there, curveball. And that's what I was talking about. I think you're going to see him utilize that curveball a little bit more than what the statistics say he throws it at against the Giants. I watched him his last start against Anaheim where he threw that complete game, and he utilized that curveball to slow some of those hitters down more than he has in the past. I think you'll see that tonight.
Well, it looked like he just threw another one. Longoria was able to fight it off just barely. One out, nobody on in the second inning. Brandon Crawford is on deck. And that one is too low, which that may be just what he was wanting to do with it with a 2-strike count.
He had started in the zone, like bottom of the zone, and just see if you can get him to chase. He threw it middle of the plate.
Now you had a great curveball, and I saw you throw it many, many times, and you're a big advocate of, if you have a good curveball, let's throw it. Come on. Well, that one got him looking. Another strikeout on a called third strike. 2 down. Now, how far would you go for a Togo? Brought to you by Togo's Pretzel Rami. Last night, Brandon Crawford, a 2-run homer against Garrett Cole. Off the bat, 97.5 miles an hour. 353 feet into the porch out there in left field. The Crawford boxes, aptly named last night, perhaps the most appropriate guy to hit a home run into the Crawford boxes. Did so last night.
I mean, the dad's expression, John, it's phenomenal. I mean, I'm a big fan of GIFs. I like those little videos. I think it's fun. I mean, that has to be a GIF at some point in time of the dad looking at his daughter like, ooh, you know, how do
Sitting with his daughter, whose husband just gave up a home run to
his son.
Yeah. I have a feeling that if we could have put a mic in his mind, we would have been hearing, yeah. 1-1 the count. 2 down, nobody on. That ball is hit well to right field, but it's going to stay in the yard. Springer. And that ends the inning. 3 up, 3 down. Let's take another look at Brandon's dad last night.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. That is. Oh, it's so good.
Marwin Gonzalez will lead off here. The Yulieski Gurriel and Brian McCann to follow. Gonzalez, a switch hitter, and a guy can play almost any position. He's got power, hitting only .225 so far this year with 4 home runs and some arduous to him. Got the call on that one on the outside. Now, last night we showed Crawford's home run against his brother-in-law, Garrett Cole. Cole told the story that when he made his major league debut, it was against the Giants as a Pirate, and in that game, Brandon Crawford got a broken bat bloop hit against him. And then Brandon sent a gift over to Garrett Cole after the game. Cole won the game. And Brandon sent him that broken bat and autographed it as a gift to Garrett Cole. So Cole always remembered that, and he sent Brandon Crawford a gift after the game last night. That's out into right center, off the end of the bat, and caught by McCutcheon. Here's Cole talking about the gift that he sent over to Crawford last night.
I signed the pair of cleats that I pitched tonight, and I wrote, you know, Kuiper's call out of here on the one, and then Johnny Miller's adios pelota on the other one, and I sent it over. So, you know, I try to have a little fun with it.
Yeah, and it might have been a little more fun for him than for Brandon since he got the win, but we did show the expression on Brandon's dad's face, and it was kind of a win-win for him. Brandon, his son, hit a home run, and his daughter's husband, his son-in-law, got the win.
Yeah.
So everybody ended up with something out of the deal. Anyway, it's fun, and I thought Dave Fleming had a great comment on our telecast last night. He said, hey, that'll be fodder for discussion around the Thanksgiving dinner table. during the holidays, that's for sure.
I mean, for years, every time, hey, you remember that one time when I hit a homer? 353 feet.
The Crawford boxes.
Yeah.
I still, when they open this ballpark, now they list 315 down the left field line. Most pitchers would tell you, I don't think so. I think it's a lot less than that. And the fence does not angle out from there. It doesn't curve out. It just goes straight across. It's shallow all the way across. It goes out maybe, what, 95 feet out towards center field from the foul pole. And the wall's only 19 feet high. And I asked him, I said, well, what is that? What did you do that for? Why did you make it so shallow? Well, we wanted to do a Fenway Park kind of a thing. And I said, well, do the people who built this ball, did they realize that the wall at Fenway Park is 37 feet high?
Yeah. Yeah, you can hit a lot of doubles off that stuff in Fenway because the ball kind of drops and hits off, and you'll get away with that. But here, 19 feet up, that's not that high for that short of a wall. You can get some balls over that.
Brandon Crawford, the over shift on, and Pablo Sandoval pulls it out. 2 down.
Join us for a pregame brunch at AT&T Park on Sunday, June 3rd, hosted by C's Candies. The opportunity to be on the outfield warning track pregame, a box of C's Candy lollipops, and a lower box seat to see the Giants-Phillies game. Visit sfgiants.com/brunch for tickets to receive this package.
And some Giants fans in attendance here today as Brian McCann comes up. 2 down, nobody on. A difficult first inning for Samardzija as he faces McCann. But he got through it, and he gets a couple of quick outs to start this inning. And the Giants have the overshift on for McCann, a veteran, 34 years old. Just off the inside. Borderline pitch there. McCann 3 for 15 in his career against Samardzija. And he's got a lot of power. Former Brave and a former Yankee. The Astros actually acquired him from the Yankees. And now it's 3-0. You got Evan Gattis on deck.
How about that scenario to come back to bite you? You trade your catcher to the Astros, who you end up playing in the ALCS, and then he calls the game to beat you guys to go to the World Series.
Yeah.
That can be a frustrating thing for a front office, I think.
It's pretty sweet for McCann one way or the other to win the pennant, but to do it against your old team, the Yankees, who traded you away. Chance of the overshift. Crawford's all the way over at short, nobody at third. McCann hits a soaring pop fly, and McCutchen takes it. Strong inning there. Pablo Sandoval, the hero of Game 1 of the 2012 World Series against Verlander, coming up. of the 2012 World Series against the Giants at AT&T Park. Pablo Sandoval, he was even younger than that when he made history, World Series history, in that game 1 with a 3 home run game, 2 of them against Verlander. And there's a ball too high. I asked Bruce Bochy about the expression on Verlander's face when Pablo took him deep a second time. He went over the center field wall with the first one and then over the left field wall. Verlander pitched him differently the second time. And Verlander, they had a shot of him on the telecast where he mouthed the word "wow," as if he was astonished that Pablo was able to do that. And Bochy said, well, he did that because nobody did that to Justin Verlander. So here's Pablo. He's the Giants' first baseman in this game. And he blew that one right by him on a 2-0 count. Pablo, by the way, those 2 home runs he had against Verlander in the World Series, those are the only 2 hits he's had against him. He may have faced him when he was in the American League with the Red Sox. And Verlander's still with the Tigers. He's 2 for 7 lifetime against him. Well, they're defended in that direction with the shortstop behind second. And there's one away. Let's go back. The Cricket Smile brought to you by Cricket Wireless. It was number 1 in the first game of the World Series. What a beginning. Then the next time he came up to the opposite field. And Verlander put that pitch right where the catcher gave him the target. And then against Albuquerque in the 5th inning, another home run over the center field wall, at which point he became the 4th player in Major League history to have 3 home runs in a World Series game. How about these names? The Babe, Reggie Jackson, and then Albert Pujols in 2011. And then Pablo Sandoval a year later.
He wasn't missing. He didn't really miss that whole playoffs. I mean, he was hitting pretty good. He was barreling balls up. That definitely was a big opportunity for us in that game to be able to hit 3 homers and kind of set the precedent for that. I mean, we weren't sweeping him because of it. I think we came out hitting the ball so well it put him in a hole, because you're thinking when he comes in, if he's got game 1, you're thinking we're going to take game 1. We got Verlander, you know, and all of a sudden we beat him.
He's the ace.
It puts those guys in a little bit of a hole. And
Barry Zito was the Giants pitcher.
Yep.
In game 1.
And Z pitched. I mean, the whole playoffs, Z pitched amazing. That was a good little run for him too.
He shut the Tigers down in that game. People forget Bumgarner had been all out of whack most of the month of September in 2012, and then got lit up in the division series by the Cincinnati Reds, and the Giants bypassed him the next go around, and gave him a chance to work in the bullpen and try to get it figured out. As Hundley pops a foul out of play, 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. So Bumgarner had not pitched in 10 or 11 days when he went in game 2 of that World Series. And he shut the Tigers down. He was Bumgarner again.
Yep. He found it when he needed to find it.
It's easy to look back now and say, well, that's Bumgarner in the World Series. Nobody ever touches Bumgarner in the World Series, and nobody ever has. That's all for Hundley. 2 down. There's 4 strikeouts for Justin Verlander. He's retired the first 8 Giants in this game. Now Tomlinson will come up.
What makes Verlander so deceptive, I think, he has velocity. He's got, you know, an above-average slider, but it's the easiness of how he throws a baseball that I think can mess hitters up. When he goes ahead and throws a fastball and a slider, it just looks so easy on both. You can't really adjust speed. You know, you can't say, okay, well, he overthrows on the fastball. He kind of starts doing a little stuff on the slider. He kind of has the same arm slot. He has the same easiness in his delivery. And he can even increase his velocity with ease, too. He's pretty deceptive out there.
Correa. And that's all for Tomlinson. And that's 9 in a row retired by Verlander. Only thrown 39 pitches in 3 innings. And Jim Ray Hart hit a fly ball to Jim Wynn in a day game, and Jim Wynn couldn't see it, and it went as an inside the park home run. They had window panels up on the roof for the sun to shine through because they had natural grass, just like they do here in this retractable roof ballpark. But in the daytime, when they played a day game, you look up into this and just, it was a glare. You couldn't see anything. And the next day they painted the entire ceiling, every one of those panels, to cut down the glare. But then the natural grass died as a result of that. And so that was the advent of artificial turf, which they of course called AstroTurf. Astrodome, the first ballpark to employ the artificial turf. Evan Gaddis is the hitter. Well, I remember that game, listening to it on the radio. I think the Giants might even have televised that game back to San Francisco with Russ Hodges and Lon Simmons, the Hall of Fame broadcasters. Jim Wynn was just a young guy. The Astros were going with a real young team. Joe Morgan was a young guy. Rusty Staub. Rusty Staub, I think, was 18 or 19 when he came up. And the Astrodome, they called it the eighth wonder of the world. Nobody had ever seen anything quite like it, but that was a little bit of a flaw with those glass panels up at the top. I guess they were maybe plexiglass. Best laid plans. The grass died. AstroTurf. And there's a lot of people sort of rue the advent of artificial turf in baseball, because that gave people a lot of ideas, like, you know, we could build a multi-purpose ballpark.
Yeah.
Play football and baseball and just use artificial turf. Bad news for knees.
Oh, backs, lower backs. Longoria would be happy to tell you about that. I mean, he played most of his career on that turf over there in Tampa.
An indoor ballpark, Tropicana Field. That's a foul. Right there in a hurry. Guy.
The positive defensively is you're going to get true hops. You're not going to get any kind of weird bounces and stuff like that. A lot of times if the whole field's AstroTurf, you know, Tampa had some dirt infield, but I think also you're going to get, you also get the balls faster on turf. You can hit balls, ground balls to the infield a lot quicker. And gets by outfielders faster.
It's a great ballpark for extra base hits.
Yeah.
And Whitey Herzog, when he took over the Cardinals, he mirrored his approach when he had been in Kansas City with artificial turf. Brought in more speed, better defense. And we all remember those Cardinal teams. They would steal a million bases and use that artificial turf to their advantage. There's a look at the Astrodome when it was being built here in Houston. The old ballpark, Colt 45 Stadium, where the Astros first played. They were the Houston Colt 45s then. And then you had the panels up on the rooftop to allow the sun to shine through so that the grass could continue to grow. It's just that you couldn't see a fly ball when you played a day game there. The eighth wonder of the world. Also, that was the first ballpark that had the luxury suites.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Judge Roy Hoffhines was the owner of the Astros, and he sort of envisioned the ballpark. Caught by Longoria. That ball was ripped by Gaddis, but some bad luck for him, and there is one away.
So you're saying the Astros changed the game with suites, luxury suites, turf. What they didn't probably factor in on the turf side is if you do it outside in places like Kansas City and St. Louis, you actually have players have to play on surfaces of like 150 degrees. Shoes are melting, you know.
That happened, yeah.
Yeah.
That happened a lot. Here is Tony Kemp, one of last night's heroes. 5 RBI game, the biggest game in his big league career. And he takes a called strike. Well, they didn't envision AstroTurf. They had the regular grass, as we said, but it was a necessity ultimately. And that's high and tight. 1 ball and 1 strike. But it did change everything. They also had a big scoreboard that went out, covered, I don't know, half an acre or something out in center field. And when they hit a home run, it was almost a cartoon that played with a big longhorn steer and the flight of the ball and whatnot. So that was the presaging of the big TV screens that we have in every ballpark nowadays, jumbotrons and whatnot. The Astrodome still exists, by the way. They have functions there, like car shows and boat shows and, I don't know, conventions. Or,
so they use it as like almost a convention center. Huh?
Yeah. And there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of arguing about what to do with it, because a lot of people say, wait a minute, that's an historic edifice. Because a lot of people think it should just be torn down. Well, Kemp gets a walk. That's the third walk allowed by Samardzija. We're in the third, 0-0 here. Dave Fleming will be coming along in the fourth inning. Giants will be flying to Chicago after the game. And you see the strength in numbers Warriors shirt. Giants are going to be doing a Warriors sort of travel party tribute. Everybody's going to be wearing Warriors gear.
Yeah, they came down to the lobby in sweatpants, sweatshirts. Some guys didn't know it, so they didn't have their. They're wearing dress shoes. It looks kind of awkward. I'm thinking they're going to probably bring some of their track shoes here, tennis shoes from the clubhouse. Because some of these guys coming down in nice dress shoes with a jumpsuit on there. I got some chuckles out of it this morning watching those guys parade themselves through the lobby of the hotel.
One on, one out. Springer, the leadoff man. And he takes inside. That strike zone has been fleeting for Samardzija in terms of being able to find it early on in this game. Springer, who flied out deep to right. McCutchen went all the way back near the wall to catch it. And Kemp, you got to keep a close eye on Kemp. He's very fast. As we learned last night, this is only his 6th big league game this year. Alex Cintron, the coach over there. And Kemp is listed as the same height as Altuve, 5'6". Although they list him as 1 pound lighter than Altuve.
Yep, it's mandatory. Altuve's got to be 1 pound stronger of muscle mass. You sign for how much money do you sign for? You know, your MVP has to have more muscle mass.
Is Altuve. And we do remember him when he first came up. I don't think anybody was predicting that this was a future MVP. But he did things that caught your eye even then. A bloop, just foul. Unfortunately so for the Giants. Pretty good pitch by Samardzija, not hit well by Springer, and he almost had an extra base hit on it.
Yeah, Hundley wants it in here, and he definitely got it in. And those good hitters, man, they can kind of just muscle those balls out there a lot of times. Springer's strong enough to do that. Those are the kind of hitters those are the kind of hits that'll end up frustrating you, because he can hit them a long way, and then when you actually beat him, he's strong enough to just kind of bloop it over the infield for a hit as well. It can frustrate you when you beat a hitter like that and still gets on base.
Runner going, the tag, and he's out. Great tag by Tomlinson.
That was a great throw by Hundley. I mean, he put it on the money, on the base of the bag, and it was up and in on Springer, which sometimes you don't mind necessarily, but he had to throw right off the top of his feet. You see right here, he didn't have time to load or anything, and he short arm and put it perfect right on the bag. Wow. Great job by Hundley right there. Look at this throw. Look at that. Oh, man. He likes it. He likes it. Look at, he's digging himself. He's like, that's right.
Well, they have 3 times tried to run against the Giants, and twice Hundley out of the 3 has thrown him out. Full count here to Springer, but with 2 down and nobody on. He's the 10th batter of the game, the 4th to have had a full count. Right back off of Samardzija's pitching hand. Longoria will hang on to it. The question is, how is the hand of Samardzija? Seems to be fine. An infield hit for Springer.
Definitely not something Dave Greshner wanted to see right there, I don't think, when your starter that just came off the DL slaps down a ball with his bare hand. Samardzija says, I'm fine. And Dave's like, it's not my first rodeo, dude. You always say you guys are fine. Here's the pitch. Ball right back at him. And it's just how Samardzija falls off the mound. He spins off the mound, so when a ball comes back at you that quick, when you're you're not really in a fielding position right there in your best, it's a reaction. All it is like you're just trying to get something in front of it to slap it down. See Samardzija's a little bit frustrated right there that it landed where it landed. He probably was hoping that ball would kind of land right in front of him and pick him and throw him out. But
you think that hit right in the sort of the pad of the hand? Because it looked like to me almost off the side, the outer side of the hand, the side of the small finger, and or even maybe on the wrist. But
probably the meaty part of that palm right there. He kind of slapped at it. It might not have been hit as hard as what we see it might have been, but I feel like it kind of went off. But it's a scary thing because they're dealing with a Bumgarner situation right now that was almost similar. The ball was hit a little harder and it was a line drive at Bum, but you know, you're sitting there seeing that Dave's immediate reaction is like, not again. You know, we need to keep these guys healthy, so I'm glad he's okay.
And the throw to first, diving safely back is Springer. Bregman with a count of 0-2.
Another look at it. Ball right off the dirt. That ball was coming pretty quick, and it did. It kind of almost hit off that side meat of the hand right there. Sometimes you're not necessarily going to feel that until after the game. I bet he's going to be a little bit sore on the plane. They have ice on the plane too, though, John. We can ice that sucker down.
Well, and between innings here, we'll see how he does. Longoria. Tomlinson at second with a force out on Springer. 0-0 heading to the fourth. Top of the order coming up. Hernandez, McCutchen, and Posey. Dave Fleming to bring it to you.
Tires. Tires, service, straight talk. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Top of the fourth here in Houston, 0-0. And a total of one hit between both these teams. And joining me in the TV broadcast booth, the great Dave Fleming.
Jeremy, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is.
Ask Flannery back in the studio. He doesn't know either.
That doesn't surprise me. Second time through here for the Giants lineup against Justin Verlander, who's been, I would say, as advertised.
definitely pounding the strike zone. He is throwing more curveballs, and I kind of want to pat myself on the back. I figured he'd do that. The percentage on his breaking ball, curveball, there's one right there, was 13% coming to the game, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, his curveball is so good. And I watched his last start against Anaheim, and he utilized that curveball so well. You're almost thinking maybe he's starting to make that adjustment himself and trying to get up those numbers to maybe not throw so much hard stuff at guys, even though it seems to be effective.
That was the harder version of the breaking ball. That's the slider. He missed with that. It's hard to argue with the results. But this is a guy who is probably going to the Hall of Fame. Has been one of the great pitchers in the game for a long time, and maybe is better than ever right now. Gorkis to center field, hit that one hard. Kemp got maybe a late break. It goes right over his head. And now we get to watch Gorkis run. Around second, heading for third. The relay will be late. It's a triple.
Sometimes that's the spark you need. You need something. Now, Kemp is out there in center field. We talked about this yesterday. He's a second baseman by trade. He's still learning to play the outfield. He's athletic enough. They don't feel he's their best center fielder, but he's their best hitting center fielder right now. And you see right here, he hits the ball, and Kemp actually stops. This ball's kind of hit at him. See, he stops right there, and then all of a sudden he thinks it's at him, and it's too late. And in this ballpark, if you don't get a good jump, you're not catching up to that ball. Hit the afterburners right there.
Gorkis can move. He had the 9-pitch at bat in the first inning. He made an out, but he worked Verlander, and now with the first hit of the game for the Giants and a great chance to go ahead. McCutchen at the plate. I don't mind the aggressive approach with the infield in. But he swung right through that fastball. Even though, I mean, what Jeremy's talking about with the big territory out in center field here, even though they brought the center field fence in a couple of years ago, still a lot of room in that part of the park. Strike two, foul tip.
See how much trust Verlander has in that fastball. I mean, he's got a runner on third base 90 feet away, and he fires 2 belt-high fastballs at a hitter. That's dangerous. He's not even trying to pitch to a ground ball. He's just coming right after you.
Now McCutchen desperately trying to at least get the bat on the ball, see if he can get that run home. 0-2. High and tight. It is a contrast. Garrett Cole pitches up, up, up with the fastball, and Verlander, he is in the middle of the strike zone more often than not, and yet nobody hits it.
It's the secondary pitches. I was talking to so many of these young guys who are like, my fastball, I need better command with my fastball. You need better command with your secondary pitch, because if you're a high velocity guy, no one expects a high velocity guy to necessarily be like painting on the corners. You're not a Maddox on a high velocity guy. In order to be a high velocity guy with success where you can miss over the plate more, you have to have something in your repertoire that hitter has to be worried about other than your fastball. And I mean, he's got a slider and a curveball. He's commanded both for strikes tonight, so guys are going to be a little late sometimes on that heater.
McCutchen trying to hang in with Buster Posey on deck. Gorkis Hernandez at third with nobody out. Verlander from the windup. He misses high. So he has gone up a little bit against McCutchen.
And he's got up a tick in his velocity. All of a sudden the 97 started coming out.
Mad that he gave up a hit. Maybe mad that he sees Pablo Sandoval again today. Who knows? 2-2. Good take by McCutchen on that slider. McCutchen's been a very patient hitter for the Giants. Took a called strike 3 his first time up. Does not want to do that here. If it's close, he wants to see if he can get Hernandez home. He strikes out swinging. Fastball at 97. So 1 out. By the way, when we get back home a week from this Sunday, June 3rd, first 35,000 fans get a 60th anniversary Willie McCovey bobblehead. It's the Giants and the Phillies presented by Chevron. Tickets available at sfgiants.com. A great stretch. Willie McCovey, who made his major league debut 1959 very memorably against the Phillies. And Robin Roberts went 4 for 4 with 2 triples. That's his big league debut.
Man, rough one.
Kind of a sign of things to come. Infield still in. Buster hits a fly ball to right field, and that's going to do it. Springer will move back and make the catch, tagging Gorkis Hernandez. He'll come in to score, and the Giants get the first run of the game.
And that's a win right there. The way Justin's been throwing, the ability to strike guys out. You know what? The Giants took advantage of a big situation right there with probably a misplay in center field. As a Giant offense, you have to take advantage right there and get a run on the board. And let's see now how the Giants can go to work against Verlander for the rest of the game, and it changes the scope of even how Samardzija might pitch.
Belt takes a strike. Well, I think you get a leadoff triple with your big boys lined up. You start to think maybe big inning, but then McCutchen strikes out, and I think that thinking does change, and you got to make sure you at least get the one.
Yep.
You don't want to leave it up to Belt with 2 down. Now Belt kind of flares one with the shift on. He'll take it.
I mean, that wasn't a bunt. That was a grown man that just swung at that ball as hard as he could.
That's your National League Player of the Week.
It's awesome. Belt getting it done. Doesn't matter.
He's trying not to smile.
He's shaking his head. Hey, he's going to take it because it don't matter how you get him, because he's probably been robbed of a couple missiles out there in some of these shifts. He's probably had base hits taken away from him, so he's going to take that. He'll take that any day of the week, I think.
His mom, his dad, his friends, his family drove down from Nacogdoches just to see him do that.
So good. So good.
Longoria takes that curveball for a strike.
That's the pitch, even over the slider, in my opinion, that allows him to get away with that heater down the middle. That's just an equalizer pitch to righty, because now he throws 96 down the middle right here. He's thinking he could come with another curveball. He could come with a fastball. He could come with a slider. It just keeps the hitter not convicted on one certain pitch.
Well, pay attention to Brandon Belt. Used to be, when you and Brandon were teammates, Belt would steal some bases. I mean, not a huge number, but he picked his spots.
Yeah, he wasn't the fastest. He just has size 16 feet, so he can slide a little shorter and get there.
Covered a lot of ground those last few inches at least.
I mean, that shoe right there almost covers the entire bag.
He calls them his flippers. He said he was a really good swimmer growing up.
Well,
now you know why.
Now we know why.
0-1. Longoria checked his swing there against that curveball. Longoria is the one guy who's had a lot of experience against Verlander, and some of it's been positive. He's had some success.
I would say a 260 hitter off of a guy like Verlander, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
You wouldn't say I own this guy.
No, I wouldn't say I own him.
But relative to just about everybody else, pretty good. He's throwing more of them now. You can't believe it.
I mean, that's a good curveball.
Really good.
You get a experienced hitter like that who has history with a pick to buckle on your pitches, you know you're throwing it pretty good.
This time he went with the slider. Giants have a run. Leadoff triple by Gorkis Hernandez, getting hydrated after running the bases, and the sac fly from Buster Posey. Two. Protected on that fastball away. Had a pretty good cut, even though that was a few inches off the outside.
Well, I mean, after yesterday's strike zone, those guys were swinging at that pitch.
It's true.
You know, we were noticing that Tim Timmons had vacation after yesterday.
He is not here today. I promise I'm not going to go Brandon Belt and imply anything, but he's not here. Longoria hits a foul.
I mean, like I said yesterday, he probably wasn't hydrated. I mean, it's a day to recover, maybe. Go take a little, me day and rethink your thoughts on the strike zone, maybe.
A Tim Timmons me day.
Yeah.
Ramon de Jesus has taken his place. He's the umpire at third. Well, Longoria is having a nice little battle here with Justin Verlander. He got another curveball and goes down swinging. That's not fair. Triple, though, turns into a run. Giants have a 1-0 lead.
And descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Francisco Giants Baseball Club, LLC.
Dave Fleming, Jeremy Affelt back here in Houston. Day baseball at Minute Maid Park. And just a tiny misjudgment by Tony Kemp. Who knows, maybe he wouldn't have caught the ball anyway, but Gorkys Hernandez was off and running a triple to lead off the top of this fourth inning. Buster Posey knocked him in. 1-0 Giants over the Astros. Altuve, Correa, Gonzalez coming up, and a big curve, Verlander style, from Samardzija in for a strike.
I'm telling you, he needs to throw that pitch a lot more. Like, it's a good pitch. I think that he can utilize that. He used it in 2015 in the second half, and he did so good with that pitch, and I think it brought him a lot of success. I think when you're struggling to find your fastball location, throwing that pitch will help you, one, find it, and two, help get away with maybe some mistakes over the plate.
Well, he backed it up. Now he throws an 0-2 and gets Altuve to chase a fastball right back to him for out number one. It's a nice sequence from Jeff Samardzija.
Very good.
It's been interesting watching Jeff come off the disabled list and early in games struggle to find velocity, location, and figure out a way often to kind of hit a rhythm and pick up some ticks on the fastball, become sharper with the command as the game goes on.
And he had a better start his last start.
He did.
He got through almost 7 innings. He's a workhorse. I feel like even when he doesn't have his stuff, and he'll have bad day. Every starter has a bad day, but he seems to try to figure out a way to get it done, and he can handle himself, and he's so strong, and he seems to figure out a way to go deep in the game when he has to.
He's throwing a lot of curveballs here in the fourth inning. He needs to be for this Giants team. You see that note? 16 games, 4 times the Giants have gotten 6 innings plus from a starter in the last 16 games.
And I don't care how good your bullpen is or how much energy they say they have, it's not going to hold up. They have to have more of a break than that, or you have to have a couple long guys down there that are willing to go 2-3 innings.
And that also included, before Monday's off day, the longest stretch all year without an off day. So not good timing to have a stretch like that. There's a called strike right on the outside at 92 miles an hour. Here's a swing and a liner over the leap of Crawford. I thought he was going to catch it. He made a good effort. Correa has the second Astros hit.
It's like it was set up with a slider. Looked like it was almost a slider away, and he just reached out. And it really wasn't a bad pitch, and it was just almost a good piece of hitting. He just kind of muscled it right over shortstop's head there.
Always fun to watch Brandon Crawford jump.
Yeah. Because you honestly think he might actually make the play somehow.
He has such good timing, too. Here's Marwin Gonzalez. Has missed a chunk of this year. Taking a called strike. He's kind of their version of, you think about what Ben Zobrist did for the Cubs the last few years. Guy could play all around. If somebody else gets hurt, he can fill a spot. Produce offensively, switch hitter. Very important guy for this team.
And last year, was he 300 hitter?
Yeah, great year
for him. 20-some homers. I mean, he was almost one of their better hitters.
See if Samardzija can get a ground ball here. In an 0-1 count. Good cut on a fastball. 0-2. You see so many of these guys now wearing that face guard on the helmet. I would think at some point sooner rather than later that everybody will be using one.
Yeah, I don't really understand him necessarily unless I don't know. I mean, I know, you know, Stanton wears it. He was hit in the jaw, but I don't know if has this guy been hit or not. Sometimes I don't know why guys wear that unless at some point in time in the history of even the minor leagues they were hit there.
We're seeing more and more of them. Bryce Harper's using one. Mike Trout's using them. Some of the great players in the game are using them. Just a little extra protection. If it doesn't bug you, it's almost like, why not?
Yeah, that's true too. With the guys that are now trying to, well, you got higher velocities, which is probably going to mean less command, and you're going to a lot of balls, and then they know that guys are going to try to pitch them in because they don't want to get extended, so they're probably trying to just think ahead and protect themselves a little bit.
95 miles an hour. That's the hardest fastball that Samardzija's thrown, but it wasn't particularly close.
And you're right. If it doesn't bother you, if it's not messing with your line of sight, then who cares?
One, two. Hit foul to the backstop.
I was actually thinking about tinkering with bubble wrap before I retired.
Well, the problem for you would be, it would be one thing to bring it onto the field, wrap yourself in bubble wrap. You would have to wear it 24 hours a day based on your injury history.
Just show up to the ballpark hurt.
It happened a few times. I know Dave Gresham did not like looking down at the caller ID on the phone and seeing your number.
In fact, I don't even think he turned his phone on an off day. Say call somebody else.
Anybody else.
Oh, Gresh.
Throw to first. So what was the is the hamburger patty one the one that's going to live with you for the longest?
It still does. I mean, I swear there's someone that cut their hand the other day in the minor leagues. You're like, oh, Jeremy knows something about, you know, like, it's just one of those things, you know, you kind of, it's going to be. I have a scar to live by, but then you're separating frozen hamburgers with a paring knife.
So they were frozen, stuck together. You try to wedge a knife in there to get them
Pop
apart.
them off, yeah. One just happened to not be as frozen. The knife went completely through.
Let's see. Strike three swinging. Got him at 94 with a fastball up. 2 down. How about the Warriors coming back here to Houston? In fact, they'll be in the hotel we just checked out of. I think Steph's going to stay in my room. Tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. on NBC Sports Bay Area. Playoff Central will get you ready for Game 5. Huge here in Houston. All on NBC Sports Bay Area with Playoff Central before and after the game. A full menu with the drama in the Western Conference Finals. championship may be on the line. I think a lot of folks feel like the winner of that series is the heavy favorite to win it all. And this town was buzzing last night and this morning after the Rockets win.
I mean, that was the first win that they've had against the Warriors at the Warriors' place, right? In playoff history.
And it was the first home playoff loss against anybody the Warriors have had in years. They won 16 in a row at home in the playoffs. 2 down, runner at first. Gurriel takes ball 2. We will be getting on the plane to head to Chicago after this game, and the Warriors sent a lot of gear, and so it's a Warriors-themed flight for the Giants headed to Chicago. Everybody's going to wear sweatshirts or T-shirts, whatever.
There's sweatpants and sweatshirts even.
Correct. You and I won't be wearing those.
No.
Pop up, long run for McCutchen, but time to get there, and he missed it. And Correa's going to come all the way around to score. I don't believe it. I mean, he had to go a long way, but he had plenty of time, got there, and just didn't make the catch.
Yeah, you see he's trying to run. He runs. He turns it on right there. And sometimes when you're running like that, your head's bouncing and you're running at such speed that you're almost, if you don't have time to camp, and it almost looks like it got lost in the lights the way he kind of almost pinched his eyes right at the end there. You almost like squinted and the ball went right by his glove. When you're running at that kind of speed, if you miss it by a little tick, you're going to miss that ball. It's not something the Giants were hoping for, I don't think, with 2 outs to tie the ball game.
Man.
But that's a rarity from a guy like him.
And he gets charged with an error. McCann swings at the first pitch and pops it up. And Samardzija is going to do a good job of making sure that doesn't hurt even more. So that's a big pitch for Samardzija, but a lead is gone. A rare mistake. It's 1-1.
Anniversary of their Until There's a Cure Day, presented by Gilead Sciences and the Giants Community Fund. In 1994, the Giants became the first ever professional sports team to host an HIV/AIDS awareness game. Join us at the ballpark as we honor those that have made this annual fundraiser for AIDS prevention, education, care, and services possible.
Very important day on the calendar every year.
Very important.
See if the Giants can respond. After kind of a gut punch in the bottom of the 4th inning, Brandon Crawford takes a strike from Justin Verlander. Giants had a 1-0 lead, and everybody was headed back to the dugout. Inning was going to be over. And an error led to a run. Just the one. Tie game with a long way to go. Verlander misses with the curve. Crawford just missed one his first time up. He hit a ball to the warning track in right field. Yanked that curveball foul. Well, just a reminder, Xfinity X1 customers, all you got to do is say, show me the San Francisco Giants into your X1 voice remote and get live stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. One and two. Verlander to Crawford. Went with the slider. 2-2. It's funny in this sport, even the way that a guy takes a pitch sometimes can tell you how he's feeling at the plate.
Yeah, usually if that fastball's in and they don't move, they're almost saying, I see that pitch. If they jump out of the way, it's telling you they're diving, and that thing came a little too close to them based on where they were looking for a ball. One thing that I think Smarsh has done, he's done several good things today, but I think one of the things he's done that's been he's done exceptionally well is the fastball in. He's moving feet on a comfortable offense. I think it's helping him with some of his, when he's not feeling as good with his command, he's moving offenses, an offensive threat's feet like he's doing is going to keep him in the ballgame a little longer. Yeah,
he's figured out a way through some of his lack of command, falling behind in counts. Meanwhile, Brandon Crawford draws a leadoff walk, so we'll see. We get Pablo against Verlander again.
So far over the course of this game, I think the Giants offense has had some pretty good at bats against Verlander. They've been fouling stuff off. They've been making him battle, making him work. They haven't made it easy for him to get through these innings, and it is a low-scoring ball game, but he's having to throw a lot of pitches against these guys tonight.
It does tell you the standard that we're operating with. 1 run, 2 hits, including a little squib shot. Yeah, great at bats, but I think you're right. You watch Verlander and how dominant he has been. Just start after start this year, by far the best earned run average in the league. I think you're right. Pablo, a little squibber foul. Can tried to pounce on it. I ran into Justin Verlander. This was probably a couple years ago. And he still wanted to talk about Pablo, the home runs in the World Series, and especially the second one you guys showed at the opposite field home run. And you saw him say, wow. He still to this day cannot figure out how Pablo hit that home run. He's still a little cranky about it.
Well, it's one of those ones where you threw it exactly where you wanted to, down and away in a really big ballpark, and he was able to somehow, it looked like he was able to get underneath that ball enough to backspin it out of the ballpark, because it really didn't go, it didn't get launched, it just kind of carried out there.
That one has some backspin, maybe not as much carry. Round number 1. Crawford stays at first. Our smart play brought to you by your Northern California Ford dealers. June 12th, 2007, Brewers, Tigers. This was Verlander, a chance to pitch a no-hitter, and he got it. His first of 2 in his career. Got another one in 2011 with Detroit. He's one of 32 in the history of the game with 2,500 strikeouts or more, and climbing rapidly on that list. He's been an MVP. He's won the Cy Young Award, All-Star over and over again.
I think he's one of the youngest, right before his 400th start or whatever. Again, maybe not youngest, but quickest. He's done it. Yeah, he's quickest to it.
Leading an Astros pitching staff that really has a chance for history. And they are on pace to threaten some all-time pitching records. Starters ERA, team ERA. They are so far ahead of the pack. The Astros starting pitching ERA is 2.26. The next number 2 is Cleveland 3-3-5, which is great. Excellent. That's more than a run better. Hundley pops one up. Shallow center. Kemp will glide in. 2 down.
And those two pitching staff faced each other right before the Giants came in. And watching some of those games, I mean, it was a battle. I mean, you saw some good arms being thrown on those mounds, and both teams had to really battle to kind of win. I mean, there were some great pitches thrown. Carrasco threw an amazing. I mean,
I talked to A.J. Hinch before the game today. That's what he said. You would not believe the stuff in that series. And he did also mention that he is looking forward to Sunday, where Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole are going to go head to head again. They're playing again this weekend. And of course, those two in the middle of some controversy. That was a challenge to Kelby Tomlinson. Two outs, runner at first. Strike 2. We talked to Kelby before the game. He's got a few folks here in Texas. He's from Oklahoma. He said usually people visit him more in Denver. It's just as easy to get to Denver as it is to get here.
Wow. I think I'd rather visit him in Denver if I'm a family member. I like the Denver ballpark. If I'm a fan coming to a game, if I'm going to go see my son or my family member play it, it's a fun ballpark to go to.
Coors Field, beautiful. Denver, great city.
If my son was a pitcher, I might not go see him there.
Correct.
But as a hitter, I'll go see him.
It seems like that would be your absolute best chance to see him get some hits.
Yeah. Possible homer.
All right, don't get too.
I mean,
out
them's
there.
a wall scraper, but I'm just saying.
Inside the park home run. Both Joe Panik and Alan Hansen making progress, getting closer. Those two could both start rehab assignments soon. Kelby's been a valuable player for the Giants these last couple of years, but the way Alan Hansen was playing, really those two guys right now feel like the top two. Panik's clearly the established regular, but Alan Hansen had carved out an important role. The Giants missing both of those guys. It's kind of where the injuries have hurt them this year. The injuries have piled up at the same spots. Starting pitcher, second base, left field. In the dirt, 2-2.
And you can handle not taking anything away from offensive guys or left field or second on this team, but when you have a rotation injury issue, any team that has that, it makes it very hard to win ball games. You have to have a healthy start staff, or at least 3 guys that are going to be able to grab that ball every 5 days. And the Giants just have not been able to kind of have that. Hopefully they'll have that soon with Madison coming back and Johnny. You don't know really when he's going to come back. That probably all depends on how the elbow handles itself, but you need to have your top end guys available.
Bumgarner should start his rehab this weekend. Well, here we go. Tomlinson behind, and the count has worked it full. Crawford's going to get the head start with 2 down. Crawford takes off. 3-2 is fouled out of play. Yeah, this is the point you were making a minute ago. Giants having some long, determined at bats against Verlander. This next pitch will be number 80.
And you got guys, your 9-hole hitter and your leadoff hitter are being pests. They're like that right there, 95, bottom of the zone, outer half. That's a tough pitch to foul off, and he's able to do it. I mean, as Justin Verlander's pitching here, he's probably thinking, man, these guys are wearing me out with these foul balls.
8th pitch of the at-bat right here. Tomlinson strikes out swinging. Got him at 95. A walk, no runs, middle 5, 1-1. Day baseball indoors here in Houston, bottom 5, 1-1. Giants and the Astros at Minute Maid Park. Samardzija against Evan Gattis. Called strike. Fastball from Jeff Samardzija. An unearned run for the Astros. Tied the game in the 4th. Gattis hit the ball hard his first time up, but right into the defense. James used to play the Astros every year for years. I mean, they spent 31 years, a few before they were even divisions, and then in the same division with the Astros, playing them over and over again. And even after that change, still would visit here once a year.
Yeah, and reading some of it was like they said it was. I mean, you have the Dodger-Giants rivalry, but they said there was a rivalry here a little bit between the two teams.
A lot of great games, good teams, memorable games. The Astros have played only the Reds more in their franchise's history than the Giants. So there's just a lot of history between these two, which has kind of disappeared now that the Astros have moved to the American League. This is only the 2nd series since that happened that these two teams have played head to head. Two. Hard on the ground, but right to short. Out number 1.
All Giants games on NBC Sports Bay Area are streamed live on the NBC Sports app for mobile or tablet. Stream the Giants on the go. Brought to you by your NorCal Honda dealers.
Tony Kemp has been a pain for the Giants in this series. He had the best game of his major league career last night, and today has walked his only trip to the plate against Samardzija. It's not a big strike zone. High to Kemp is not high to most hitters.
No.
Two and 0. You could almost envision this guy getting down into a big crouch and just making the strike zone about the size of a.
Yeah, you almost got to put your glove on the ground.
Oh, not close. Samardzija's kind of shaking his head. He's in danger of walking Kemp for a 2nd straight time. And that we saw that last night. That gets you into big trouble against these Astros. You start
Fast,
letting the bottom of the order get on base, and then the big boys get lined up. He tried to just throw that one right down the middle. Couldn't do it.
And those guys, you know, I always looked at a guy like that if it's smaller, like an Altuve, Kemp. Like, they are always going to be really good at hitting even letter high fastballs, because their whole life guys have probably been throwing around there because, I mean, they're shorter. And so, like, what I would consider a belt high fastball to a guy's letter high, you know, to a guy like Kemp or Altuve, and a knee high fastball to a 6'4" guy is right at the belt. So it can be dangerous for those, and if they can get used to shortening up and just slapping high fastballs, they can make it difficult for you.
Now Samardzija has thrown 5 out of the zone in a row. See if he can get calibrated. Springer has 1 of the 2 Astros hit. Houston only has 2 hits. Kemp was caught stealing last time he drew a walk. McCunley's made a couple of really great throws. Seems pretty obvious the Astros came into this game thinking that they could run against Samardzija.
Yeah, Hundley's kind of seems like he might have hopefully put a little squash on that with 2 pretty good. I mean, the throw to second was I mean, that was on the money. I mean, it was down on the corner of the bag. I mean, you couldn't have made a better throw than that. And a weird up and in, you know, catch throw. You know, it was an interesting, all around good play by Hundley.
Springer, a check swing foul. 94 running in. He did not mean to.
But he didn't mean to, but it's still showing the effectiveness of pitching inside to these Houston guys. They want extension. You throw in there, it jams them, and whether he knows it or not, it's an effective pitch right there. And even if he didn't foul it off, you can utilize that for your next pitch, and keeping him honest and not letting him dive out there.
One, two. Springer unloads on one. And that puts the Astros ahead. Wow.
You see, he was trying to get a slider away. He kind of went way in, and he was trying to get that slider away. And a guy like Springer, if you leave it over the heart of the plate, and he did, he just didn't get, I mean, that's middle. I mean, you threw a slide in. Smarsden knew it right when he threw it. Hundley was setting up way outside. He was trying to get it out there, and he just threw it in the one spot you don't want to throw it, unfortunately, and it's the wrong guy.
Off the facade, up above those Crawford boxes, 411-foot home run that was out of here in a hurry. And a home run hurts, but the walk to the ninth place hitter that makes it a 2-run homer also hurts. Just a mistake pitch that cost him big time. Bregman, who's walked and hit into a fielder's choice, is ahead of the count now, 2-1. "90 pitches for Samardzija with only 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Two. Ball 4, not close. And that might get Bochy and Kurt Young on the phone. I think it will.
Yeah, he's starting to labor a little bit. He's got 93 pitches. And most of his innings have been laborious. You know, he's having to really kind of muscle through a lot and work some guys, and he's had to go deep and into counts and battle some guys off. There's definitely going to be a warm-up situation here. Double play ball would be great right now.
And he has gotten some big outs in spots where he was sort of teetering. This was back in the first inning. He'd walked 2, got the strikeout and the throwout double play.
Yeah, that's a big double play ball. Right? Strike him out, throw him out. Will give you confidence for a while.
That one high and tight. That was the one you were talking about where that was such an awkward play for Hundley. He still made a great throw to get Kemp
Yeah, because he couldn't even get loaded. He had to kind of jump up and catch and just throw, you know, without right off the top of his feet there.
Altuve, maybe. Longoria didn't have it cleanly, and the speed of Altuve is going to keep him out of the double play. Got the ground ball, and they get the out at second. 2 down. Will Smith, by the way, is the guy up in the bullpen for the Giants. There's Carlos Correa. One for 2 with a single. He scored the run on a strange play in the 4th inning. Altuve runs. Hundley couldn't get off a throw. The 2 caught stealings have not deterred the Astros from still trying. This time it works.
And you have to pay attention to him because he will steal third. He'll do it late in the ball games. If he thinks he can get it, he's going to take it.
It was a decent jump. Hundley had a chance at him if he made the clean exchange. Ball 2. A little flare, and that's going to get down. Belt has a good throwing arm. Here comes the throw, and it's cut off. Altuve scores. 4-1 Houston. That steal was huge. That's probably going to do it for Jeff Samardzija.
Yeah, it's a frustrating scenario there because he beat him right there again. It's 2 kind of blue pits that these guys have had. It's costed them some runs. You can't really do anything about that. I mean, there's nothing Samardzija could have done. You're right. He couldn't, you know, the stolen base and all that stuff. But I mean, all the way around, that's probably a frustrating inning for Jeff Samardzija.
He definitely looks frustrated. He's coming out when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts.
Modern Finance Company.
It's 4-1 Astros. 3 runs across here in the bottom of the 5th to unbreak the tie. And Jeff Samardzija has been knocked out of the game. Will Smith comes in out of the Giants bullpen. Since coming off the DL, he has been great.
I mean, right there, 8 innings. No runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 11 punch outs. I mean, you really can't ask for anything better than that. And coming off of Tommy John, you don't necessarily know how guys are going to feel. He's coming in and he's done great. He's a big guy, he's a strong guy, but man, he's been throwing the ball really, really well.
Here's Marwin Gonzalez, switch hitter. He'll bat right-handed against Will Smith. And you and Javi for years were the best, I think, tandem of left-handers in a bullpen in the National League. And right now, I don't know who's got two better lefties than Watson and Smith, the way that those two guys are throwing. Gonzalez, first pitch from Will Smith to center field. Gorkis has plenty of room for out number 3, but a big inning for the Astros. 3 runs across onto the 6th, 4-1 Houston.
Or when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
Well, the Giants at one point led this game 1-0. Now it's 4-1 Houston. Just 2 games here before the Giants road trip continues in Chicago. There are Giants fans here at Minute Maid Park. It's hard to find them because the Astros have so much orange themselves. It's a little disconcerting. Justin Verlander for the first time pitching with a lead against the top of the order. There's the orange and black. Ortiz Hernandez has had an excellent day. Who knows, maybe a little purpose behind that pitch from Verlander.
Quit getting comfortable on me.
He's so precise with his command. When he misses like that, you figure there's got to be something to it. He tripled and scored the only Giants run. And he chases that curve for strike 2. Even the out he made in the first inning, he led off the game, Gorkis did, and got 9 pitches out of Verlander. Strike 3 call. Fastball right at the knees.
I mean, that is a really good pitch. I mean, there's not a lot a hitter can do because you just saw that slider, and even if you're looking for a fastball, it's really tough to commit on a fastball down there because he probably thought it was down, and it was right at the bottom of the zone with that kind of velocity. It's tough to do.
He almost made the same facial expression that Brandon Crawford's dad did last night. When Crawford took his son-in-law deep. It's been a tough afternoon for Andrew McCutchen. 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts, plus the error that led to the first run. 82. Almost like a hybrid between the slider and the curve.
Yeah, it's like he kind of made up a pitch. Like, why not?
Get the lead, start experimenting.
Yeah.
0-2. They got him? No. McCutchen did get a piece of that curve, just barely. From a guy who usually takes a very healthy cut, that gives you an idea of how uncomfortable Verlander is right now.
Yeah, he's definitely not seeing him as good as he would like, I don't think.
Well, 88 pitches. I mean, I think you always feel like if you get into the bullpen, they have some good arms. It's not like they have no weapons in the bullpen, but you always feel like instead of Verlander or Cole, you get in the bullpen, take a shot at one of those guys. 2-2. We don't know what A.J. Hinch is thinking, but 118 pitches his last time complete game. Even with an off day, maybe it's a day where you don't want to push Verlander to the extreme. We'll see. Struck him out swinging.
Changeup. Looked like a changeup. That's a backed up slider, but if it's a changeup in, that's pretty gutsy. That's a changeup.
It was. Wow.
I mean, like, it's like he's a Nintendo player right now. It's like someone's playing Nintendo against the Giants. No, let's go with a front hip changeup just because. To a really good hitter.
What does this button do?
Yeah.
Let's try this one. Posey with the only run batted in this game, hit a sacrifice fly.
Never had a chance to feel that good ever on the mound, but it must feel pretty good to actually know that you can just mess around. You know?
You had your moments.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I could think
I'm really trying to dig deep on that right there. I had my moments. I think there were moments, but there was a lot of scary moments within those moments is the problem. I don't think I ever looked like a comfortable pitcher. Did I ever look like a comfortable pitcher?
Always had to be a scud. No matter, either blowing everybody away, swings and misses.
I'd throw one in the grass. It's a great heater in the grass.
And nobody knows that better than that guy.
See those gray hairs around his ear right there? I could point those out. Probably gave him a couple of those.
1-2. Just outside. It was a ball.
Oh, yeah.
Posey rips one down the left field line into the corner. Gonzalez will play the carom. Buster is testing the arm, and he's in. Standing.
You got to hurry right there, and I know he took a stand-up double, but that's closer than what most people probably think because that wall's. I'm debating that wall's 315 feet away, but as a hitter, you're thinking you hit it in an area where no one's at down the line. I got a double, but when they hit when a left fielder gets a ball and turns toward a second, he's on top of second base. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, that was pretty close right there.
Gonzalez has a good arm. And now you play that forward and think, okay, you got a runner in scoring position, but in this park, depends on where you hit it in the outfield.
That's right.
Giants would like to find out. Belt, strike one. I mean, even just getting the one across here would be huge. We got a long way to go in this game. It's only the 6th inning. The bullpen is now working. Verlander is up close to 100 pitches. Even just get the one, make it a 2-run game, and take your chances in the late innings. Will Harris is the guy getting loose. Belt skies one, third base side, foul ground. Bregman, will he have room? And who made the catch? Not Bregman, it was Marwin Gonzalez.
Wow.
That retires the side. Look what I got.
Oh,
Pretty amazing play.
yeah. Happy birthday.
Portuguese Heritage Night on Tuesday, June 5th, 7:15 game time. And you got to get the special event ticket to get the giveaway cap that you see there. sfgiants.com/special events. The place to go. Phillies D-backs on the next homestand. Will Smith stays in the game. And that first pitch breaking ball called a ball. Astros with a 3-run 5th inning. Giants threatened in the top of this 6th, but the score stays 4-1. Gurriel right through a fastball, 1-1. Justin Verlander got a lot of handshakes and back slaps, and he's chatty in the dugout, so that would tell me that his afternoon is over. And Gurriel, no, on top of the dugout.
Well, he threw a lot of pitches last game in Anaheim. AJ telling him right there he's done. Smile. Go have a root beer.
I mean, for him, this is like average, kind of not even average start this year. 6 innings, 1 run.
Most starters would kill for that.
Well, right now the Giants would kill for that. The Giants are not getting quality starts, and it's really costing them. A team that is doing a lot of things well, the Giants are. 2-2 to Gurriel. That one is popped up, out of play.
The confident thing that I have, though, in the rotation, like a Samardzija today, you saw him when he came out of the game. He was just staring. He's upset. He's not a guy that is okay with it. You know, like he knows what he needs to do, and he's competitive to try to get it figured out. So I feel like they're going to take responsibility that way, and I think they're going to do whatever they have to do to try to figure out how to get deeper into games. I think it's important to know that you have those guys on the team.
Well, I think Jeff is definitely that way. We know Madison Bumgarner's that way. And Bumgarner going to make a rehab start, sounds like this weekend. And he'll probably need a couple more after that. According to the Giants, maybe not according to Madison. This one popped up. Pablo coming over, and he will have room. 1 away. Will Harris continues to get loose. Pretty remarkable play the Astros made against Brandon Belt for the 3rd out in the top of this 6th inning. After the Posey double, Giants had their hottest hitter at the plate. Astros starting pitching, speed, power, and yeah, they are a good defensive team.
Yeah, it's 15 errors the entire year. I mean, that's, as a pitching staff, you're feeling pretty confident they're going to make some plays behind you.
That was a pretty tough play by Marwin Gonzalez.
Well, not only do you have to run a long way, you're coming around that corner. Bregman's not a small guy, and they're all coming in, and you have to stay so focused, and you got to just assume that you're going to catch it, and not the other guy. Because if you start assuming that the other guy, neither are you going to catch it. Kind of a bad break for Brandon right there. See, he came around, then he had to run right down that wall. Oof. Could have been bad.
.30 can with the green light in a 3-0 count. Just a foul ball. Underrated player, I think, Brian McCann, over the course of his career. He was one of the best catchers in the game for a long time.
It could hit. Like his days in Atlanta, I mean, it was unbelievable. He can go the other way.
No, he could really hit. Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Brian McCann, sort of the tail end of that run for the Braves, winning all the divisions, going to the playoffs year after year. McCann was a part of that. .3-2. Might have broken his bat. It hit the mound with the shift on. Longoria, who's not used to being over there, didn't make a great throw, but Pablo helped him out. 2 down.
Kind of stood up. It's kind of a weird angle for a third baseman like that, because you're right. He stands up and he just kind of throws it over there, but he's not used to that, so he just kind of tosses it over there and probably got inside it a little bit and pulled Pablo off the bag. And McCann's not exactly the most fleet of foot.
Had time to make the play.
Yeah.
Here's Gaddis. If you're a third baseman, you're used to just airing it out every throw.
Yeah, it's almost, you almost feel like you can get the yips right over there, because it's like a pitcher trying to, like John Lester trying to throw to first base, you know, like he's used to throwing it hard, so when you have to lob it over there, you can kind of almost second guess yourself on the throw. And
how would you know about that?
You're right. I didn't. I tried to underhand. I just said, you know, I'm not even going to throw it. I'm just going to underhand it over there.
I remember a few. Second base. I think you dialed it in at some point.
Second base, I could do it because you had to throw it hard over there.
Yeah.
You know, like, but going to first,
Can of corn. John will come back and join Jeremy here on the TV side. Be good to John, okay?
I will. I wonder if John knows the exit velocity on my tosses. Yeah. season. Get Giants home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Top of the 7th, 4-1 Astros. And we have a, when it's time for a change, think speedy oil change and auto service. Pitching change, your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts. And John Miller is back with me in the TV booth.
Back with you, Jeremy Affelder. Will Harris, the new pitcher. There's a bunt along the third base side. Foul by Evan Longoria. Not a bad idea, and certainly not something the Astros were expecting to see, nor were we.
I think I about blew a hammy. Just thinking about getting off the mound right there.
That was, you went to the DL for something like that, didn't you?
A couple times.
Yeah, what happened? Well, I was, when he tried to beat out that bunt, I pulled a hamstring. Out in center field. And Kemp gets to it. Hit hard by Longoria, but into an out. And that's 1 away. Did you field that bunt? No, I was in the clubhouse watching it on TV.
Yeah. I won a DL for watching a bunt happen. Hammy just popped.
Brandon Crawford now, who has flied out to right and walked in this game. Verlander went 6 innings, gave up 1 run, 3 hits, had 9 strikeouts. And his earned run average went up as a result. Giants made him throw a lot of pitches, especially in his last 3 innings. There's a called strike to Brandon Crawford. Sandoval is on deck. 4-1. This is still a doable deficit for the Giants in terms of a comeback. But they're going to have to get started here sooner rather than later, you would think. There's a foul. Strike 2. The Astros, who are so deep, especially in their pitching. Harris came into this game 15 2/3 innings, 14 hits allowed, and 14 strikeouts. Giants bullpen, meanwhile, is also busy. Oh, that hit him on the leg. McCann picks it up. Not nearly in time.
They might need to look at that. That looked like he tried to stop it, but then it looked like it hit his almost like his ankle bone. Ball was hit pretty hard.
Infield hit for Crawford. And the Astros head trainer is Jeremiah Randall. He's out there. Let's see if we can figure it out.
See, that to me is that's pretty close to that little the ankle bone right there. That's not going to feel good.
Almost looked like it hit the right, the left ankle, and then might have even ricocheted off of that and off the other leg.
Yeah, he kind of stuck his other ankle around to stop it, and it squared him up. And when a guy looks like that out there after getting hit, you got to keep an eye on him because he's still not feeling very good, I don't think.
Takes a practice pitch.
And he might be able to pitch this game and get through this inning, but I'm willing to bet in the next few hours that's not going to feel very good.
Crawford gets the infield hit. The trainer, Randall, and the manager, A.J. Hinch, back to the dugout. Pablo Sandoval will come up. No repeat performance for Pablo against Verlander here today. He grounded out to short and popped out to shallow left against the veteran right-hander, unlike his performance against him in the World Series. That's a called strike. You know, I was thinking back, we kind of focused on that World Series. Pablo also hit a triple off the right field wall against him in the All-Star game that same year, 2012.
That is
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah.
Kansas City.
You're right.
And I think he might have knocked in 2 or 3 runs. A triple and almost a home run with the bases loaded in the first inning of that All-Star game.
I do remember that.
That's too low from Will Harris to Pablo Sandoval. The Astros have gotten the bullpen up again. There's a Panda fan.
Well, you might be able to talk your coaches, manager, trainer, and that you're okay to pitch, but if you don't show it that next batter, they're going to get someone else in there. So they go back to the dugout, say he's fine, and the manager's like, yeah, why don't we get somebody up? You know, you want to give him benefit of the doubt. But
well, Brad Peacock has started to warm up in the bullpen. One of their top late inning relievers. 1-1 to Pablo. And it's 2-1. I wonder if they've ever seen anything quite like the Panda hat here at this ballpark.
Too hot here.
Yeah, Giants fans are in town. 2-1 to Pablo. Back to the screen. Had some cut to it, that fastball at 93 miles an hour. Nick Hundley is on deck. The Giants need one more base runner here to set up the possible tying run at the plate. Sam Dyson is now heating up. There's Hundley on deck. Sam Dyson is now heating up in the Giants bullpen. 2-2 the count. And he chased. That will get Crawford over to second. 2 down though. Wild pitch, moving Crawford up. Nick Hundley has struck out and flied out to shallow center. Giants have only 4 hits in the game. The Astros have only 4 hits for that matter. But a 4-1 lead over the Giants. One of the Astros runs unearned. And again, walks really hurt the Giants today. Strike 1 the count to Hundley. Base hit could mean a run here with Crawford at second now. It's only the 3rd time in the game the Giants have had a runner as far as second base. Along the right field line, Springer in a hurry, but it's out of play. Giants have not had a hit with a runner in scoring position yet in the series. On the other hand, they've hardly had any at bats with runners in scoring position. They're 0 for 5 in the 2 games combined. 5 at bats with runners in scoring position. That would be not very good for just 1 game.
No.
That's in 2 games.
Not a lot of action.
They have been shut down by this Astros pitching staff, as have many American League teams this year. 0-2 the count. Way outside. Giants will travel to Chicago after the game and have a day off there tomorrow. And then Friday, a day game at Wrigley Field. 11:20 a.m. first pitch Pacific time from Wrigley on Friday. And that is all for the Giants. Well, after he got hit in the foot, 2 strikeouts for Harris.
to hide. That's transparency. By Heffernan Insurance Brokers. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com. And by Xfinity. X1 will change the way you experience TV.
In Houston, where the Astros lead the Giants 4-1. The new pitcher for the Giants, Sam Dyson, comes on when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts.
Sam Dyson, 2.95 ERA, 21 innings pitched, 16 strikeouts, 8 walks, 16 hits, 2 homers allowed. He's actually coming to his own a little bit. Coming out of spring training, feeling a little bit rough. Start of the season, and I feel like the last few outings he's come out, he's done a great job for the Giants.
Dyson has become a valuable late inning reliever, especially in those games where the Giants have a lead, and very reliable once again. He was all out of sorts with his mechanics during spring training, and even after the season started. We've got it all figured out. There's ball 1 to Tony Kemp. This game turned in the 5th inning with 1 out. Samardzija pitching a beauty and only allowed 1 unearned run, a run that should not have scored. Kemp fouls 1 out of play, but then Kemp with 1 out, nobody on in the 5th inning, drew a 4-pitch walk. All of a sudden Samardzija couldn't even come close to the strike zone, which had happened to him different times during this game and different times this year. But you would have thought that he was pitching around him the way he missed the strike zone so badly again and again and again. Well, then the next guy, for Springer, is a dangerous power hitter. He hit a 2-run homer, and he destroyed it. It cleared the Crawford boxes in left field.
Hung a slider there, and power has definitely not ever been a question for Mr. Springer.
And he hit 5 of those in the World Series last year against the Dodgers and was the MVP of the World Series. Pablo will take it himself. 1 away. Hit hard by Kemp. This is what happened after Kemp drew a walk in the 5th inning.
Yeah, usually when you see a hitter, he swings so hard he falls on his back foot. He knows he got it. He hit that ball pretty hard.
They got the crowd excited. Got the replica steam locomotive from the 19th century. Got it excited. Here's Springer, who has also had an infield single and has flied out deep to right. He's 2 for 3. There's the replica of the 19th century locomotive, which they made a part of this ballpark because the railroad was such a key to the growth of this city of Houston back in the 19th century, which brought commerce, brought people, jobs. And the ballpark is built right next door to the old Union Station, the old rail station. There it is. A lot of ball club offices in there now. You can hold functions over there. That's in there for a strike. And if a guy really muscles up, every once in a while, a long home run lands up on the railroad tracks out there. That's when you know somebody has really crushed one.
Saw Madison do it in BP today. He went up over there.
He put on a show, didn't he?
Yep.
There was nobody here to see it except us.
I think he's feeling okay.
1-2 the count to Springer. And that is down and away. Bumgarner took a little batting practice. Yesterday he threw the simulated game here in anticipation of going out on his rehab assignment and starting a game on Saturday in the minor league with this, I guess, with Sacramento. Plan is for Bumgarner to throw 45 pitches in that outing. Tomlinson throws out Springer, who He's a big, strong guy that he moves very quickly. So 2 down, and here is Bregman. Bregman has walked a couple of times and has grounded out. 4-1, the Giants trailing the Astros here in the 7th inning. The Astros once again have bullpen action going. Astros have been hot lately. Well, Hundley held that one there, waiting for the call to be made, but called the ball too low. Brad Peacock is the right-hander warming up in the Astros bullpen. That's a base hit to center field. Hernandez over to get it. First hit for Bregman, but the 3rd time he's been on base. And that keeps the inning going for Jose Altuve.
Several of those hits today from these Astros hitters, that they do want to get extended, but it seems like they have enough strength. Some of these guys where you can put that ball kind of inside and they're able to muscle it almost over the infield, and it just happens when your ball's up like that if you don't get it off the dish. Like, you want to go in and up, you got to really make sure you get it off the dish, because if not, and they get that bat handle to it, they can actually lift the ball over the infield, which is how Correa did it earlier. Bregman just did it just now. I think there was one other hit like that today that that costed the Giants. Hopefully this one won't, but Dyson's throwing the ball where he wants it pretty much. It's just
so Bregman at first, and he's been running in this series a lot. So the Giants will keep an eye on him, and slowing down the running game is not necessarily a strength for Sam Dyson.
Pablo looks like he wants him to check that, because he thought Bregman might have stood up and took his hand off the bag, and Pablo kept the glove on the body. Thinks he might have.
So they're talking to Sean Dunston and Chad Chopp in the video room down in the clubhouse. Let's take a look ourselves here. So the hand is there.
This is where right there. He might be out.
The question is,
they didn't say. They said no. Surprises me, because
wow.
Unless once he says you're safe, it's not a dead ball, is it? Once he says you're safe, unless the hitter asks for time.
No. There goes the runner. Longoria. Pablo stretches out to get the low throw. On to the 8th inning. Tomlinson, Hernandez, McCutchen due up for the Giants. game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Astros, 1 run, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Giants. Jeff Samardzija, 4 2/3 innings, and his control betrayed him. And then the big home run by Springer that broke a 1-1 tie in the 5th inning. Justin Verlander, he was excellent again. He came in with a 1.05 ERA, the best in baseball, and gave up 1 run in 6 innings, and his ERA went up by 3 points today. Change in the bullpen. Brad Peacock comes on for the Astros when it's time for a change. Thanks Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts. And the first pitch, strike. A slider to Tomlinson. Giants need base runners, down by 3. Tomlinson is 0 for 2, and that's a fastball in there. Harris went 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, had 2 strikeouts. And the slider is way off the outside. 1-2 with the leadoff man, Gorkis Hernandez, on deck. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Astros, 1 run, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Giants. 8th inning. And that's all for Kelby Tomlinson. And that's a couple of strikeouts for Kelby today. He has struck out a lot this year. 88 official at bats, 23 times he has struck out. That's kind of a surprise from Kelby.
Yeah. He's got really good back control. He's usually a contact guy, but sometimes you just, beginning of the year, you just don't feel the same. And
here's Gorkis Hernandez. That's too low.
So here's the Bregman reason why Pablo wanted to check it. Now, I don't understand why that's not out and out. I don't understand why the Giants didn't want to have that looked at, but maybe there's a rule I don't know about, but I would have had that checked. Kind of obvious that his foot's off the bag, his hand's off the bag, and Pablo's glove is on his hip.
Well, that's the only thing I could think of, is that angles can be deceiving. Will the umpires in New York say, well, there's no question in my mind that the glove is on there, or will they say, well, from that angle I can't say for sure one way or the other? Another base hit for Gorkis, and he's got a 2-hit game going against right-handed pitching today, including his triple in the 4th inning to center field that led to the Giants' run. And Gorkis, he's in there right now because he's swinging the bat.
You know, from last year to this year, it's a completely different player in my mind. His bat speed's better. He's hitting for more power. Seems like he's a little bit more convicted in his swing. I know he had to have surgery, I think, on that hammock bone, which maybe has helped him. But I think he's been a true asset to this team in the first half.
His average is up at 287 now. He's got 4 home runs for the Giants. That's more than McCutchen, more than Buster Posey. Guys who have had a lot more at bats than him. It's also more than any season in the career of Gorkis Hernandez. He had never hit more than 3 in a big league season before. McCutchen has struck out 3 straight times today and is 0 for 7 in the series with 5 strikeouts. 1 ball, 1 strike now from Peacock. Three infielders have moved over to the left of second base. So the right side is almost completely undefended. The first baseman, Gurriel, on the bag with Gorkis. In the right field, going back is Springer. And he squares up just onto the warning track. So 2 down. Well, the Warriors are on their way to Houston now for Game 5 tomorrow. 4:30, Warriors playoff central before Game 5 on NBC Sports Bay Area. Stick to the team you watched all season long. Coverage begins with a special edition of Warriors Outsiders. Then it's Warriors playoff central before and after the game. It's all on NBC Sports Bay Area. The Giants will have their Warriors gear on for a Warriors-themed flight to Chicago after this game.
Did you wear your sweatpants and sweatshirt, John?
They didn't give me. They didn't give us that.
I kind of want to see if they have an extra set for you to wear on the plane.
I wanted.
I want to get pictures. Me and you. I want to get pictures of me and you and your sweats.
I got my T-shirt.
Yep. Can't wait.
They gave me a T-shirt. What is it?
That's what we get to wear. Yep.
Strength in Numbers T-shirt. It's the black one. I guess the fans in the arena were wearing that when they wore the black unis last night. Well, we didn't get really to see the game. I'm ready.
Yeah, I got mine in my bag. We're putting it on.
But we didn't get all the gear like Buster and the players got with the sweatpants and the sweatshirts. Buster lays off that one.
Players always get special treatment over the media guys.
As they should.
You know.
As they should, except when it's wearing Warriors gear. Come on. Come on.
We're all on the same plane trying to support the Warriors. We should get the same gear.
One and two the count. Back to the screen. Buster has knocked in the Giants' only run with a sacrifice fly to right in the fourth. He also hit a double down the left field line in the sixth. He's 1 for 2 with a run batted in this game. Hitting .307 for the year. I've been a Warriors fan since before Rick Barry signed with the Warriors as a
You deserve a sweat outfit.
Yeah, come on. That's caught by Bregman at third. The Giants have only 3 outs of life left to them in this one. We go to the last of the 8th inning. Correa will be coming up. 4-1 Houston.
Credit Union, the 12th season of the NBC Sports Bay Area All-Star Teacher Program, recognizing teachers that make a difference. The winner receives $20,000 for his or her school. Visit NBCSportsBayArea.com and vote for your 2018 All-Star Teacher.
It's 4-1. The Astros lead the Giants as we head to the last of the 8th inning. A pitching change for the Giants with Corey Guerin now in when it's time for a change. Think Speedy, oil change and auto service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
3.79 ERA, 19 innings pitched, 20 hits, 20 Ks. Numbers might be a little bit inflated over 1 or 2 bad outings. I think overall he's been very, very good. Coming in and helping the Giants either hold wins or give them a chance to win.
Carlos Correa, the cleanup hitter, leads off against him. And that slider spins off the outside for ball one. I guess that's a sign of respect for a hitter when he starts with that slider, the first pitch to him.
Yeah, a lot of times if you have a good breaking ball and you come into the game, some of the hitters are like they're going to be dead red because they haven't seen you a whole lot, and you want to come with something off speed just to make sure they stay off of a heater when you do throw it.
Oh, that's off the leg of Guerin. He's got it and pulled Pablo off the bag with the throw.
We had all kinds of guys getting hit with balls.
Correa gets his third straight hit. Let's see if Guerin is okay. Let's see if Pablo's okay.
Yeah. Correa gets his third straight hit. I don't think Correa's hit the ball that hard today. He's hit just a couple jam shots and one off the pitcher. Calf. I can feel that a little bit.
There's Bochy out there along with assistant trainer Anthony Reyes. I guess Reyes is now has the title head trainer, and Dave Greshner, I would still look at him as the head trainer, but he has more. He's like vice president and trainer.
Vice president of training operations. And what kind of title is that? I didn't know that. I saw A-Ray the other day, and I told him, "What up, Trainer B?" And he didn't say nothing.
You got to call him a head trainer.
I gotta call him a head trainer now.
Here's the replay review on that play presented by Xfinity. Bochy and Reyes out there to make sure that Guerin's okay to continue. I thought Pablo was off the bag, but maybe he was on the bag when he actually got the ball in the glove. There's a.
Are they reviewing it or something?
Yeah, they're reviewing it. What do you think? Right there. Then he came off.
I could see what he's saying. They think the ball is in the glove. But they're going to review that one? I'd rather review the other one. We picked him off. Let's see, we'll see here. Oh, he's out. He's out. I think he's out.
Mike Winters, the first base umpire whose call it was. He's also the crew chief. And the plate umpire Rob Drake on the headphones to New York. Well, I'm sure they want a few different angles on this one. They get not just the views we get, but also from the Houston telecast in New York.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the umpires this winter about sometimes why it takes so long to make a call when they seem so obvious.
Well, here's the call right now. Out. Pablo applauding that.
That's right. Schwan Dunston, Chad Chop getting it right down in the clubhouse. He said that sometimes it takes so long because the feed sometimes takes a little bit longer to load because they've got to receive it from the area that the teams are playing in, and then sometimes they're also reviewing another play from another team. So sometimes you're actually just stuck in traffic almost, and that's why some of these things are taking longer than others. When you're almost kind of upset when they take so long, but it's not always their fault. I still want to blame them, but
that one officially 1 minute 44 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, what's taking so long?
Yeah, I still want to blame them. It's umpire's fault.
I don't want to put it on you. What's taking so long? Jeremy's a little upset that it took so long there.
Yeah, Uncle.
That's Jeremy Affelt. So Correa ends up being out. He did not get that third straight hit. Marwin Gonzalez now. He bunts, but it goes foul. The Astros have two pitchers throwing in their bullpen. The closer, Ken Giles, and also Colin McHugh. And I guess that's just in case they add a run and it's no longer a safe situation. Giles is the closer. Gonzalez 0 for 3 in this game. This is a guy with power. He hit 23 home runs last year. Marwin Gonzalez. He had been signed by the Cubs originally. He was 16 years old when he signed with the Cubs. Gonzalez was from Venezuela. Then he was a Rule 5 draftee of the Red Sox. And at the same Rule 5 draft, the Astros drafted a pitcher from an organization, and then they traded their Rule 5 draftee for the Red Sox Rule 5 draftee, and that was Marwin Gonzalez, how he became an Astro. He's never played for another big league team besides the Astros, but he really blossomed last year, became a key hitter for them. That one is hit well. Big part of the yard. Gorkys Hernandez runs it down. Nice play. There's a lot of room to roam out there in this ballpark.
And you don't have to worry about that hill anymore and tripping over that.
He got rid of Towers Hill in the offseason. Gorkys got an excellent break on that one. And he knew that he had some room to roam out there. So 2 down, and here is Gurriel. Gurriel is 0 for 3. He hasn't had a hit, but he was involved in one of the big plays of the game. He hit just a high fly ball along the right field line. And it looked like a catch for Andrew McCutchen, and he ended up, I don't know if he lost it for a moment, but McCutchen like overran it, and it dropped right behind his glove. Instead of the 3rd out, a run scored, and scored as an error on McCutchen. That was how the Astros scored their first run of the game to tie the game in the 4th.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either. He kind of flinched right then too, so I didn't know if he lost it, the angle, and it caught these lights wrong coming in.
It may have,
but it kind of just looked like he flinched. Rare thing for Cutchin, though. That guy usually.
Crawford in the dirt, strips right by Pablo. Low throw by Crawford, and Pablo could not handle it. So that is an error. Second time Gurriel has reached on an error in this game.
Here's that play. Crawford got on it. Threw a ball that a guy like Brandon Belt probably would have scooped up, but Pablo doesn't get to play over there every day, and kind of threw it underneath his glove there. He kind of was kind of a slow one hopper. Probably felt like he had to get on it. Threw a little short of the bag.
Pablo is into making the big stretch, isn't he?
Yeah, he likes to do the splits.
And that one, he might have been a little bit better off not stretching out quite so much on that one, because he was not in position really to move much to his right where the throw went. Brian McCann, a powerful left-handed hitter. 2 down, runner at first. And Guerin now on the count of 1 ball, 1 strike to him. The Giants, as you see in the Astros bullpen, Giles is the closer, number 53 on the right. McHugh, number 31. He'll only come in if they increase their lead here before the 9th inning. That's, I'm guessing, as to why we're both up. Most of the history of baseball, that stuff would never have happened unless it was a lefty and a righty.
Yeah.
Because the save is a fairly new phenomenon, and now certain guys will be brought in only if it's a save situation or not.
Yep.
Brian McCann, he has a lot of power. He had a big home run here to win a game for them on Sunday night just before the Giants got to town. Check swing, and slider low. 2-1. And the Cleveland Indians were in here over the weekend. 2 of the top American League teams. It's odd in the American League right now. You know, the National League, when this series started, there were 11 teams at 500 or better in the National League. 11 of the 15 teams had winning records or at 500. The whole Central Division in the American League, everybody's below 500. The whole division. Crawford on this pop-up, and the inning is over. So it's still a safe situation. We'll anticipate seeing Giles, Belt, Longoria, Crawford, the do-ups for the Giants. 4-1 Houston. Friday, 11 a.m. The Giants and the Cubs on NBC Sports Bay Area. There's an hour-long pregame live starting at 10 in the morning. California time. The Giants and the Cubs from Wrigley Field, Chicago. Also streaming live on the NBC Sports app. Don't miss anything about the Giants this season. Follow the Giants on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and NBCSportsBayArea.com. Three-game series in Chicago for the Giants over the weekend. Ken Giles, the Astros closer, into the game now. Giles has had 8 saves. Belt, a foul out of play off to the left. Brandon Belt has struck out, singled, and fouled out to left. See Giles' numbers.
8 for 8 save opportunities. He will give up some runs.
3.6 earned run average.
Only bullpen guy, though, down there that has not walked somebody this season. Pretty good.
Belt muscles one over the defense for a base hit. That's what the Giants need. They need base runners here, down by 3 runs. That's a second hit for Brandon Belt. Belt hadn't done a whole lot in this series, except then you look at his actual numbers for the series, and he's had 3 hits, 7 at bats, plus a walk. He's been on base 4 times and 8 plate appearances. Just no long balls for Belt. Here comes Longoria. Sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case with Giles, but sometimes the decision comes down, why is a guy a closer instead of a 7th or 8th inning guy? Certain managers, they like to have the guys that if you bring them in with people on base, they feel confident that they can get out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the closer is just the guy that they don't want to bring in with men on base.
Yeah, because they're not necessarily used to it. And if you, for a lot of closers, they don't even used to holding guys on because no one wants to make an out in a 9th inning situation. You know, you don't want to get caught stealing, so those guys don't even have to worry about a lot of times guys stealing on them because that they just don't want to risk the out there. You want to have guys that are comfortable coming in with guys on base, holding runners, and some of those guys are not the closers.
Bobbled by Bregman, picks it back up. The throw to first, still in time. Belt moves over. That could have been a double play had he fielded it cleanly.
Closers are usually your guys with the best, I'd say, overall stuff a lot of times, or they're just the most effective out-getter at the time, and they can handle that last 3-out pressure. And it sometimes more comes down to a mentality than anything. They just have the mentality to close, where there's been plenty of 7th, 8th inning guys that have had phenomenal years, and all of a sudden you put them in the closer role, and they just don't feel like they can do it. You know, mentally they can't handle it.
It is about the mind. So much about the game has to do with the mind. There's a strike called to Brandon Crawford, who has flied out to right, walked, and he hit an infield single off the leg of pitcher Will Harris in the 7th. So he's been on base twice in 3 plate appearances. Pablo Sandoval is on deck. Runner at second, 1 out. Changed up on him there. 0-2. Shortstop Correa is almost up the middle for Brandon Crawford, playing him to pull. You see how they're aligned on the infield. Not the complete overshift, but close. The outfield is over toward the left field side against him. And that's all for Brandon Crawford. And he hadn't had too many at-bats like that in the month of May.
Yeah, that's a really hot hitter that struck out. Pretty good hard slider right there. It was almost like a curveball. Kind of started kind of more top to bottom, but at 86 miles an hour.
So that leaves it to Pablo. Giants have not had a hit with a runner at second or third or both in this whole series. 0 for 4 in those situations here today. And strike one called to Pablo. Again, the off-speed pitch. Sandoval has grounded a short, flied out to shallow left, and struck out. 0 for 3. 4-1, the Astros lead the Giants. Nick Hundley on deck. That's hit well. The big part of the yard. Kemp has room. And the Astros have a 2-game series over the Giants. And the Giants have scored only 3 runs against this Astros pitching staff in the 2 games.
Well, as advertised, the pitching for the Houston Astros was pretty impressive, and it overmatched the Giants. Hopefully the Giants can recover and go to Chicago and play better baseball.
Giants faced their top 2 and got pretty well shut down by both of them. Cole last night, Verlander today. 4-1 the final. Thanks for joining us.